Hello, and thanks for joining today, Franchise Business Real Talk. This is going to be a super interesting episode. I have Mr. Greg Mohr on with me, who is an IFPG franchise consultant, best-selling author. He's got franchisemaven.com. He is all in on franchising. And I'm thinking what today is going to be is if somebody's not in franchising yet and is considering it, this is a way to go down the process with an expert and learn a lot and see if it's the right fit for you. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mr. Greg Mohr from Licking, Missouri, originally from Texas, but he's joining us from Missouri on his ranch. And welcome to the show, Greg. Thanks so much for joining us.
Gee, it's an honor. I appreciate you having me today, sir.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into a conversation, but first, a little bit about Greg. If you could just give us a little background on you, and then we'll go into what you do and then kind of go down the path.
Cool. So we'll go way back into the Wayback Machine. And what people ask me most is, how did you get involved in franchising to begin with?
Okay.
Well, I'm going to date myself here, but back in the late 70s when I was in high school, most of us got jobs at fast food places.
Yes.
For whatever reason, I picked Taco Bell. Maybe they were hiring at the time. Who knows? Loved working at Taco Bell, moved up, became manager. Lo and behold, did I find out when I started managing the different Taco Bell restaurants throughout the Sacramento, California, Woodland, California area. The lady that owned the Taco Bells I worked at was a master franchisor of all things. She owned about 50 of them throughout the area. And I'd go to her different restaurants, build up the sales and there, build up the teams on that. Really a great experience. Playbook, step by step, this is how you do it. So fast forward 30 years later, after being a restaurant manager for 15 years, a microelectronic circuit engineer for 15 years, I got out of the corporate world after 30 years of that. A lot of us like to do that, get out of it.
Yes.
And I said, I don't have the latest, greatest idea for the business, but I want to go into business for myself. Back when I was an engineering friend and I, we bought a dry cleaners, privately owned one, storage units, real estate properties. We ran all those, but we had to learn all that kind of stuff ourselves. Didn't know anything about dry cleaning, so had to teach myself that. Both of us did.
Mm-hmm.
So got out of the corporate world and said, that privately owned business was a bit of a challenge, learning all that. I got to get back into that franchising thing. I had a lot of fun back then. So I just went out there, started clicking on all sorts of different franchises, had about 20 different people, franchise development people call me. Finally got a hold of a franchise consultant who knew they existed. Really nice, streamlined the process, made it simple, made it a whole lot less confusing. I got myself into a franchise. After running that one for a couple of years, I was thinking, I really like what that franchise consultant did or does. So I went back to him and said, teach me what you do. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. I enjoy working with people and helping them realize their dreams. So 12 years later, haven't looked back since, and here I am today.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks for that trip. That was awesome. Like a lot of people do have, franchising related in their mind with QSR, quick service restaurants, McDonald's being the number one thing that people think of, and not realizing that you can do dog washing to high-rise window cleaning and everything in between, so and so that is your job in a nutshell, is to help people find the right franchise for them. Or maybe they find out like, oh, I had a different concept in mind with franchising. I didn't know that it's a small business and I'm going to have to work in it for a while or something like that. So you're setting realistic expectations too, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of our first phone calls that we'll have. The first phone call that I have with folks on that is I just ask them, just ask me anything you want about myself or about franchising. And then I'll ask them, what are their expectations around a franchise and what they expect to get out of it. That way I can pretty much set those expectations really early on to make certain that they are realistic from their point of view.
Sure. So my own experience with franchise consultants comes mostly from the franchisor side. When we got into Anytime Fitness, back in 2006, 2007. It wasn't through a franchise consultant. It's something I read in a trade journal and just went and approached them directly. But from the franchisor side, we've had a number of consultants bring us candidates. And usually they are much more vetted than people that approach us directly. They've gone through a questionnaire. They have an idea of what they're looking for. Probably most importantly in the beginning, it's probably a better idea of like what they're not looking for, because there's so much available out there, right? And it takes a lot of time and effort. it's like kind of like buying a house. Could you go out and buy your own house and not have anybody find it for you and negotiate and do the closing and make sure the inspections are done right? You could, if you didn't have another job, and you had, and you got up the learning curve really fast. It probably wouldn't be as good as someone that's been through it 100 times in the last year. So, that's the value of working with a consultant. I think one of them, and then from the franchisor side, is they're much more amenable to like talking to people and giving them information because they know it's going to someone that's been vetted financially, vetted experientially, and kind of knows what they want. They're more of a true prospect than a tire kicker, right? Not so. That's what I found from my own experience in that. And then what most people wouldn't understand is how that what that costs. So if someone comes to you, they go to franchisemaven.com. We'll put that in the show notes so you got it. And go through your process. One of the things that I loved on your website is at the bottom in this little disclaimer, you have it, but I think it kind of speaks to who you are and how you approach things. Is like, I really want to work with people that want to work with me. I will give you 3 calls. And then after that, you'll go on to an email thing that you can always opt out of. It might not be the right time for you or anything like that. So I think that's one of the hesitations for people to work with a consultant, because they think it's like, they're just going to hammer me until I buy something, and that is, for some, that may be the case. Obviously it's not for you. You're in this for the long term, 12 years. You're the broker of the year a few times in one of the largest organizations in the country. You're a best-selling author. Like, this is your world. And I'm sure you have plenty of people that you would want to work with you. You don't have to work with everybody that comes your way. And, you might not be the right fit for everybody that comes your way either. So, I think that's great. It's a very low risk, way for someone to learn more. And then, as you and I were talking about before we press record, is we're both huge fans of the franchising model. It's changed your life. It certainly changed my wife and my son's lives and a lot of people that we know. And that kind of leads me into my next question. So I have a lot of people in my world that know that I'm a franchisee and a franchisor and all that. And so they kind of like, hey, I would love to do something like that someday. There are people in the corporate world, and I don't know where to start, or like, how would I actually do that jump from, my W-2 employees and my benefits and, my paid vacations to this. They know it looks really good with the flexibility and the freedom that a lot of franchise systems offer once you get them up and going. But they just don't know how to make that jump. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of your secret sauce. My friend works in distribution. He really wants to do something. Like, he can't even come to our Friday morning hockey skates because his boss wants the people in the office on Friday morning so that they're not out playing golf. It's like, I want to be my own boss. He'll work his butt off, but he just doesn't want to be in that box. So he calls you. What does that look like?
Thank you, Guy. Well, first off, you don't have to leave your job to begin with. So those of you who, Guy, you and I, when we're driving around all the time, we see the McDonald's, we see Taco Bell's out there, Amco, Meineke Mako, brick and mortar type things. And we're thinking $1 million investment, working full time. You don't have to do that. Plenty of franchise businesses out there that you can do semi-absentee, where you're working 10 to 15 hours a week. So keep that in mind. Many different industries, service industry, as you alluded to earlier, where you're doing the window washing or what have you. Plenty of those, around $150,000 investment. Brick and mortar is going to be a little bit more. Almost all of them have semi-absentee models for you within the different industries on that. So how does one go about doing it and getting involved in it? Well, for the DIYers out there, you can do it yourself. But Guy, as you alluded to earlier, it is going to be a lot of work, because what you need to take a look at is what's your net worth on that. And you need to also take a look at the boxes in your attic. So the boxes in your attic are golden. What does that mean? That means what you have experienced in your past, what's in your head, is what the franchisors are looking for. They're looking for that experience. So what you need then is to look for franchisors who are looking for people like you that have experience like you. So going out there and do it yourself can be a little bit challenging. I did that when I first started on that, and I had about 20 different franchise development people calling me. It was really tough. Is that territory available in your area? Do I meet the financial qualifications? Do I meet the qualifications for my background on that? So it will be time consuming, but you can do it yourself. If you come to a franchise consultants do not charge for their services. We are free. The franchisors pay us a referral fee if you decide to invest in one of the franchises we introduce you to. I work with about 500 different franchises. There's about 5,000 of them out there in the US, but there's plenty that I have to choose from. And what we do as franchise consultants, what I do is we go over you. We talk about you. Where have you been? So the experiences you bring. Where are you at now? Where are you at now? As far as what amount of time do you have to invest in the franchise? What are you comfortable investing in that franchise time-wise is more to the point. What are you comfortable investing money-wise in that franchise on that? So kind of where you're at in your life right now, how we can tailor that franchise around your daily life. And then where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? What are you looking to get out of that franchise system? So I get to know you as much as possible. Our first phone call, will you be asking me about myself and about franchising on that, so I can get you comfortable enough to where you're not hanging up the phone on me and saying, I'm not talking to this guy again. He's nuts on that. So we want to get you past that one first.
Yeah.
So get to know me, ask anything you want. I'll kind of ask your expectations of a franchise, making certain they're realistic. Then our next phone call, we just talk about you. I'll have you fill out a questionnaire before that. We go through that. I'll send you out a matrix of business types, get you thinking about all sorts of different types of franchise businesses that are out there that you can get involved in. I'll send you our due diligence process where you and I will go through to find franchises that are a good fit and then investigate those franchises together. So I get to know you, everything I can about you, take it through the process, educate you about franchising, come up with 5 or 10 different opportunities. We will narrow that down to probably 2 or 3. We will investigate together. And I'm not going to try and sit here and convince you that franchising is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just because I think it is, doesn't mean it is, and it's not for everybody. So education is what it's all about. Learning about that franchise system. How does that franchise system work? How does it benefit you? How does it fit into you culturally wise? How does it fit into you for your background? And how are they going to help you get to where you want to be on that? So we go through all that. That is my process in pretty much a nutshell.
Great.
What else you got for me?
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So I would say from just a nuts and bolts perspective. So my hypothetical friend in distribution says like, all right, I want to learn more. I'm ready to at least learn more right now. How many hours a week is that going to take at the beginning to go through this process? Say we're going through this process. They're serious about wanting to buy something. Doesn't mean they can't say at the end, like, hey, if something came up, I can't do this right now or whatever. It's not like a contract that you have to buy at the end. But in the beginning, just for someone, I would, because I will say I have, I've seen it change my life and a lot of other people's lives. So I really want people to take that first step. So I want them to have a realistic expectation of what it is. And if they think it's going to be, 10 hours of calls in the first couple of weeks, that's what we need to share with them. If it's not that much, that's what we need to share with them. So what would you say in terms of time investment to, let's say, learn enough about franchising, learn enough about themselves, where they might fit in franchising and where franchising might have a fit for them? What's the time investment for them?
So, Dee, to start off with, what we're going to be looking at there is our call. You and I will get together and we'll talk. Our first phone call could be around a half an hour or so. Just kind of get you getting to know me and getting to know franchising. That's it. So that's the first week. And again, we can go as fast or slow as you want to. If you've got a time constraint where you don't have that amount of time, then one phone call a week is plenty on that. So our next phone call next week, we'll sit down and I will have then sent you out that questionnaire. Probably takes 15, 20 minutes to fill out that questionnaire. It's not that intense or in-depth, so it's pretty quick on that one. So the first week, talk to me, fill out that questionnaire, take about an hour. Second week, we'll go over that questionnaire together. We'll sit down for half an hour or so, whatever it takes to talk about you and for me to get to know you. Then I send you out 5 or 10 different opportunities for you to take a look at. We get back together again the following week. Talk about those, narrow it down to 2 or 3. Again, half hour or so to answer all your questions, to figure out which franchises that you picture yourself doing that you think are good. Now we're going to get you on the phone with the franchisors. So with those, it's going to be the same thing, Guy, on that one. It's going to be the amount of time you really want to put into it. Minimum, probably a good thing to think about would be about an hour talk with the franchisors each one. So if we talk to two of them, you could do 2 hours a week. Most franchisors kind of want you on a regular basis, so you could probably do every other week on that if you've had a lot of time constraints. Well, the franchisors are pretty good about time frames too. I know quite a few of the franchise development people, they'll do it in the evenings or they'll do it on the weekends. Not all of them, but quite a few of them will. So if you've got time, you can do it then on there. But what you're going to be looking at there is probably, I would say, if you're thinking about the time that you're going to invest, I would say an hour a week for one Zoom call or telephone call, 1 hour a week with each franchise. And then they're going to send you some information to look over as well. So maybe figure another hour or so. So you're probably looking at, if you kept it, running on a very smooth basis, about 2 hours a week or so would be a good ballpark figure for you to put into it, looking into a franchise seriously. Again, as fast or slow as you want to go on that one.
Yeah. And I would say that's a pretty familiar process. And we see buyers, prospects coming in that have gone through that. And we know that they're looking at other options. And it's really not, it's not really a hard sale because franchisors want the right match. You talk about match on your website a lot. And I think that is really important. Because every franchise is not the right fit for every possible buyer. And to be honest, when we're in our full selling cycle, we'll say no to about half of them, that actually make it through the process. And it's not because we don't think they're great people or anything like that. It's just we know our model so well, and we don't want somebody investing their time, effort, and money in something that's not going to end up well, even if it ended up good monetarily, which is probably unlikely if they're not a great fit anyway. But it's just not going to serve the purpose of them buying it. So it's also franchising, I think, from my experiences, it's highly regulated, as you know, Greg, with the franchise disclosure documents and registration in a lot of states. But the franchisors really want to find that right fit because it's easier for those people to run successful businesses in their system. They're happier, they're making money, they're helping sell more of the units in the system. And so that's a factor. And there's other things that that somebody can do all the analysis, whether they're strong in financial analysis or operations, or maybe they have an expertise in that area already. They just don't have a business, say like an electrician buying, an electrical company franchise or something like that. They have the expertise, the technical expertise, but not the business expertise. And, the old saying in franchising that I say in pretty much every episode is when you're in franchising, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because you have this large entity that really wants you to succeed, that you're part of, this large system. And then you've got all these other people that are in the same boat as you in a different market that are running the exact same business. And it's an incredible climate and environment of sharing. Like when I first got into it, I couldn't believe that people were sharing like their secrets to their success with me. And, and that was just in the same system. I could have been in South Carolina and I'm sitting in Colorado, and I was still like, oh, this is different. Like they're giving me secrets. They're getting me up on the learning curve faster. And then as I've gone on, we've actually had great conversations with other fitness operators, with other beauty operators. It's all about making good businesses better and helping people involved. So that's another reason I love the franchising. I would love to hear a little bit about your book without giving away the secret sauce or anything like that. But, your book is, it has freedom in it, the real freedom. And that is the thing that resonates with people that are in a corporate environment. Maybe they've been in it for a really long time, but they've seen other people and like, how are you going away for 4 days right now? Or how are you going away for 3 weeks? Or you're working from the cabin, things like that. And they're like, I can't do that. So, seeing freedom in that book. And then the other part of it is, and how franchising can be considered to build wealth. So if you wouldn't just mind sharing a little bit about your book and, the freedom and the wealth aspect of it, really kind of stuck out to me because I think that's what everybody wants.
This is true, Gay. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I was looking for. One of my goals was to get out of the corporate world before I turned 50. And I was able to do that because, as you alluded to earlier with your friend there, they want him in the office, Friday morning at that. So they wanted me in the office basically from 7 to 5, yes, Monday through Friday. And it's just like, I got a master's degree in business as well. And that's what ruined my corporate career for me. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I blame him for ruining my corporate career. That was the end of it.
Right.
It's like, there's something different. There's something better out there. Are you serious?
Right.
And then that got me thinking, back in the Taco Bell days and the franchise. But freedom is about doing what you want when you want on that. So when you're talking about that electrician who goes into buys an electrical company on that, or electrical franchise, what our franchisors and what your Guy is looking for there is somebody who's going to work on that business and build that up, not in it. So quite often, or one of my franchises, one of the handyman franchises told me specifically, do not bring us handyman. Because handyman want to do all the work.
Yeah.
So basically you're just buying yourself a job and just going in there. Nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. If that's what you enjoy doing, if that's what you like, I can find a franchise for you where you can do that work and you can do it all day long and just have a load of fun if that's what you enjoy. But most franchises want you working on that business. So that business does not revolve around you being there on a regular basis. Do what you want, when you want. Go to that cabin, do what you have. So that's where it comes into that semi-absentee type franchise. And actually, even though those franchises, some of them tell you that they want you full-time all the time, as long as that franchise runs really good and you've got the growing sales and everything's going fine, you can have a manager run it and you can just do what you want when you want. So that's where the real freedom comes in, is that you don't have to be at that desk all the time doing it. You don't have to be working in that business at all times. And if you have an exit plan where you want to sell that business, you don't want that business revolving around you. Right. It's going to be that much more difficult to sell it at the end of the day if you're going to do that. You want somebody else doing it. Now you have the freedom. You've got the money coming in. Do whatever you want, whenever you want. Yeah. Now, as far as building wealth on that one. So now you've got that franchise. That franchise is running by itself. You've already built up an income stream where you're now free to do the things that you want to do. Now, if you want to build on that wealth, that's where you start looking at maybe picking up more territories on that. So that's where we go into, like I was talking about earlier with the Taco Bell franchisee. She had 50 Taco Bells. She was a master franchisor for that. So there's there's a couple different ways that you can go. You can just pick up more franchises, more territories for the same franchise. So you're growing your area out. You're making it bigger and bigger on that. Mm-hmm. So very simple to do. You can start with doing that, where you pick up maybe 3 or 5 territories to begin with. Franchisor will give you a build out plan. You build 1 the first one, and then 1 the first year, 2 the second year, 3 the third year, whatever that may be. That's more of the brick and mortar type when you have to do a build out. With a service industry franchise, you just have more territory. So you may still just have 1 office, but you're just operating in a large territory for that. So you can start doing that. And now you've got more people to come into.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into a master franchise opportunity, that's where you're going to pick up a large territory like an area developer. So let's say there's 5 of them, territories that the franchise has ascertained that it's doable in the city that you're in. So you pick up 5. You build out your pilot franchise location in 1 of those territories on that one. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to find franchisees for those other territories, yes, on that, and you're going to sell them or award them the opportunity to build a franchise there. You're going to oversee that. You're going to train them. So you're kind of the right-hand person of the franchisor. So now with a lot of the franchise systems, not all of them are exactly the same. So I don't want to be too specific, more generalization. But in general, what you're going to do is you're going to get half the franchise fee for that and pick up probably half the royalties for that. So it's a good way to have an annuity where you've got a whole team of people now that you've developed in that area and that you are responsible for. Now you step back and you've got that great annuity coming in. So you've got those royalties coming in from all those people where you're not doing it. They use their money to build out those franchise system. So that's a good way to do it. The other way to go is horizontal growth. That's you may think about. So if you go into the service industry, especially if you go into the home services industry
Mhm.
With some of that, there's different franchisors that may have more than one franchise brand in their system.
Yeah.
So if you want the same territory, what you're going to be looking at there is you're going to be starting out maybe with the groundskeeping of that area. Then you move into the maid service. You taking care of the cleaning in the house, the handyman services, the appliance services. So you, on that same territory, now you have 3, 4, 5 different franchise systems where you basically own the house. Anything that homeowner needs done, they come to you
Yeah.
and you do it all. So
Yeah.
those are two different ways a few different ways to get in there and build wealth, and great system
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. And I've seen it over and over in my own experience, people doing that in lots of different ways. Sometimes that way, horizontal growth, sometimes just using, buying resales of the same system, the owner's trying to get out or something like that, retire, or maybe they're just not a great operator and you can pick things up and you know how to run them. And I remember when I first started out with Anytime Fitness, we walked in to buy one territory and we walked out with 6. That was Chuck, the founder, is a really good salesperson. And it changed our life for the better. So I thank him for that. It's a good example of, aggressive sales in that case, actually helping somebody out. And, but, at the beginning, it's like, I'm figuring out this one, how do I do this? But the beauty of franchising is like, once you figure out one, you can figure out 2 and you can figure out 3 and so on and so on and so on. And then you put some layers in between. So in the beginning, it's like, I don't know how to do that, but it's like, once you're in the business, you start seeing it and learning, and you see other people doing it and they want to help you out, and you ask questions and you go from there. So, it's definitely a possibility. So highly recommend that book. If someone's interested in franchising, it's not in it yet, of course. And then also I would say, just to kind of wrap it up, is like, if someone's listening and they're interested, you can go from having just your head full of misconceptions about franchising, and 30 to 60 days later, you can probably know more than 99% of the country about franchising. You've looked at a few different systems, which I think is super important. I think it's also one of the values of the many values that working with a consultant brings, is they're going to show you multiple things and they're going to say, hey, this is what I like. They're all good. Obviously, you wouldn't be showing them something that's not good. But I like this one because, their corporate staff has a ton of experience. They've done it before. They've been in this a long time and they're just growing. And I like this one because it's a new market. There's no one in it. There's not a lot of competition and it seems to be growing really fast. Or I like this one because it's stable. They've got 500 units across the country. They have almost no churn. They all do good, profitability wise. This is a low risk thing. And I know you've got kids that are going to be coming up and going through college soon. Like, it's different for everybody, but you're going to see so many things. And in 60 days, 30 or 60, they can go from knowing nothing besides I watched The Founder about, the movie about McDonald's, to like, I know more than most of the people at this cocktail party about franchising. Sometimes it might be just enough to be dangerous. So they should definitely still tune in to the experts. But I think if it's something that's on someone's mind, they owe it to themselves and their families to at least look into it. Especially like when I used to help people sell their businesses, mostly health clubs. And I said, as soon as you start thinking about selling, you should go down the path of selling, because that's going to kind of recur every time you have this thing, a challenge or something like that. And I think it's the same thing for about going out on your own. And of course, I'm preaching to the choir here, Greg, is like, in this day and age, it would be so hard to be good at all the things that franchise systems are good at, the marketing, the operations, the back end stuff, the technology, talking to each other, all those kind of things. If you're running a small business, you want to be focused on like your people, your operations, and your marketing. Like, you just want to be executing, not trying to figure all that stuff out in today's day and age. And so that's another reason that, we want really good people to come into franchising and utilize experts like Mr. Greg Mohr to help them decipher it all, make it clear so they can make a good decision for you and your family going forward. So with that, Greg, did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or should we wrap it up here? And
Well, that's about it. Guy. What Guy alluded to earlier was that when we start having you talk to the franchisors, and Guy mentioned that not everybody's accepted. Keep in mind those franchisors are not looking to sell you a franchise; they're looking to award you a franchise. You're looking to award the franchisor the opportunity to work with you and have your money invested. But they're doing the same thing, so it's kind of a mutual thing going back and forth there. You're both feeling each other out, and the franchisors are awarded. They're not sold. Good people. In the franchise disclosure documents, you will see a list of people who are running the franchise. You also see a list of people who started the franchise and are no longer running the franchise. Easy math to do that success rate of how good that franchisor is at getting the right people in there. We want to see 85, 90% or better on that. And that's where a good franchisor comes in, picking out those right people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much for your time today, Greg. Appreciate you. We'll have everything in the show notes so that people can reach you in the easiest way possible. I wish you all the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Guy. It's been a pleasure.